everybody, it's Naya. Welcome back to Naya's Smiles. Hello everybody. Okay, so I am on the floor currently. The last time I was down here on the floor, I think I was doing a bookshelf reorganization for this guy over here, which as you can see, desperately needs another reorganization, but that's another video. Don't worry, in 2019, I'm gonna get my bookshelves together. It's gonna be great. I decided last night that I wanted to create a new sort of TBR shelf. If you guys remember, this was my kind of half TBR shelf I had. I'll link all the videos where I did any sort of reorganization up here so you guys can check it out. But yeah, I had two shelves on this giant bookshelf here dedicated to books that I wanted to read. But since then, it's kind of just become a mix of read books and unread books, and it's just, yeah, it's a mess. But I have this little baby bookshelf over here to my left, and this bookshelf for the longest time kind of just held books that I didn't really have room for on these shelves. So I took everything from this small bookshelf and moved it onto these bigger bookshelves, and then I went through all of my bookshelves and picked off the books that I just really want to get to within the next like 3 or so months. My hope is that by putting them all in one place where I can see it every day, I'll be motivated to go and pull a book off of this shelf versus off of these ones. I have about, I think, 20-ish books here, maybe like 15 books that could possibly fit on here. We're gonna do a little mini reorganization today, and I'm gonna go through some of the books that I really want to read. And yeah, so it's kind of like a TBR slash organization slash me trying to get my life together in 2019. Before we get into everything, today's video is so kindly sponsored by my friends over at Skillshare. I love Skillshare. I've been working with them for over a year now, I think. Skillshare is one of the largest online learning communities, and I feel like it's perfect to talk about them because it's 2019. And I know a lot of you guys probably want to pick up new skills. Skillshare has over 25,000 classes in all sorts of different fields, from business to design to videography to photography, writing. Premium membership gives you unlimited access so you can join different communities and classes. It's almost like an online sort of school, really. Whether you're just curious and want to learn something new, or you want to develop your skills in a certain area, like for me, I always watch their film and editing videos so that I can improve on my film and editing skills, as well as their writing and bullet journaling videos. I think I talked about previously, they have amazing bullet journaling videos. So for anyone who wants to learn how to bullet journal, go to Skillshare. A subscription is less than $10 a month, and you get access to hundreds of classes. What's nice is that a lot of their videos are professionally done and taught by professionals as well in whatever field you're watching the video in. Skillshare was so kind to give me a link, which I will leave in the description box below. So the first 500 people to click and sign up will get 2 months free. Okay, so now let's get into organizing this little shelf over here. So I'm gonna kind of just randomly pull books that I have around me that I pulled off my bigger shelves and kind of just neatly stack them over here and talk about them a little bit while I'm doing that. The first book I have here, which I have been putting this book off forever and ever, and I'm putting it on the top shelf of this little mini bookshelf because it's just getting ridiculous. I have Heartless here by Marissa Meyer, but this is a Alice in Wonderland retelling story, which is one of my favorite classic stories, but instead of being told from Alice's point of view, it's told from the Queen of Hearts point of view. It's like her backstory, which is so cool. I love learning like the backstory of villains. Authors don't really do this too much anymore, but there used to be, like, especially back in like 2013-ish, but authors would write novellas from like the villain's point of view. Warner, Shatter Me by Tara Moffat. There's a quote that I had read once, and it said, every villain was once just a little kid that had something tragic happen to them. I think that is so true, and is why I'm really excited to read Heartless. So the next two books I have here is Renegades and Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer. Oh my god, this is another Marissa. Okay, I'm just gonna have a ton of Marissa Meyer books on this top shelf for my TBR, but I just haven't read Marissa Meyer in so long, and I need to read her books. So this series has to do with humans in the future with extraordinary abilities, and I'm not sure if these abilities are like magic abilities or like sci-fi, I'm half robot abilities. Anyways, these are definitely going right next to Heartless because they just need love. The next book I have here is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I get recommended this book so much, and I'm not sure what it's about, and I kind of don't want to know, but I know it's pretty dark. It's a dark fantasy. It has to do with our main character. I think her name is Mia. It looks so cool, and you guys know I love dark fantasy, so I'm just excited to read this one. Jay Kristoff co-wrote Illuminate. I trust you guys, and you guys constantly recommend me this book, so I am putting that on the top. So the next book I'm putting on here is Summerland, and I just recently picked up this book. I think was it like September of last year? I don't know. But this book has to do with the afterlife, and in this world, like the afterlife is an actual place that people can get to when they're still alive, I think. And it's a place that's controlled by the government. So when you die, you go to another place that has a government. That would just really suck, man. But it sounds like a really cool concept. This book takes place in 1938, so it's kind of a historical fiction book a little bit mixed with dystopian. Can it be dystopian if it's historical fiction because it's in the past? I don't know. I am just putting this on the shelf. So this is what my bookshelf looks like so far. I think I can fit maybe like 3 more on this top shelf over here. This next book has the most beautiful special edition velvet cover, and I just recently picked this up. Let me take it out of the little casing. It's The Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James, and I am so excited. This book is my #1 fantasy book that I want to get to before January, February, March. Before the end of March, I want to finish this book. I want to read this book. It's a fantasy book inspired by African history and mythology, and it has been blurbed by, I think, just about everyone, but Neil Gaiman specifically has a huge blurb, and I trust Neil Gaiman. Never read anything by Marlon James before, but I'm really excited, and I'm not gonna lie, the cover has me like extra hyped. Last book that I'm gonna squeeze on the very top #1 shelf of TBR 2019 TBR, Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I just finally picked up this book, and it is not going to be disappearing into my giant bookshelves. It is going straight onto this little bookshelf over here so I could see it and read it before like the summertime. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. If you guys can see over here, I can kind of maybe fit something. No, I'm not gonna even try. It's fine. I'm not gonna overstuff this small shelf like I've overstuffed all of these big shelves. Okay, so the second shelf, I think the first book I want to put on the second shelf will be, ooh, okay, Armada by Ernest Cline. This is a sci-fi. Is it dystopian or sci-fi? I think it's sci-fi. Ernest Cline writes sci-fi. This is a futuristic sci-fi book, and it has to do with our main character who plays video games and gets the opportunity to take his video game skills and use them in real life when an armada of alien ships or some ships from another planet come and attack Earth, and now all the people that are good at video games are like, yes, we could do this. I watched the movie for Ready Player One, and it was so good. I know, I didn't read the book, you guys. I know. Are they turning this one into a movie too? I don't know, but I feel like it would kind of be like Ender's Game a little bit for anyone who's seen that movie. Anyways, I'm putting this on the shelf. The next book that I absolutely, I feel like this is just becoming like a fantasy sci-fi TBR shelf, but it's fine. Okay, the next book I have here is The Dinosaur Lords by Victor Milan. And this is the coolest dang thing I've ever seen. And I'm a fan of Jurassic Park, so when I saw this cover, I was just like, give it to me. This is a fantasy book that has to do with dinosaurs, people who actually like ride and, you know, coexist with dinosaurs. And actually, you know what book I'll put next to this one, since we're on the topic of reptilian creatures? Aragon by Christopher Paolini, and this is a very used and loved copy that I got used from the bookstore, I think. I've not read Aragon either, you guys. I know, it's so bad. I watched the first. Is there 2 movies or is there just 1 movie? I think there's just 1 movie. I watched whatever movie has that one really cute guy. You know which one I'm talking about. I'm gonna put both of these on my shelf, even though Aragon is very small and kind of looks awkward next to the Dinosaur Lords, but we're just gonna put it on there anyways. Okay, so I actually did a cover recreation of this next book here, and it is The Bells by Danielle Clayton. Danielle Clayton is actually gonna be at the North Texas Teen Book Festival this year, which I'm gonna be on a panel, a booktube panel for. I wanna read this book before I meet her. This book takes place in like a dystopian sort of New Orleans. So in this world, there are bells, so these girls who control beauty. So I guess they can make other people beautiful, or they can like alter the way someone looks or something like that. But All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. This book is a contemporary, well actually, it has magic in it, so, but it's like, I don't know how to categorize. This is Maggie Stiefvater's newest book, and I've had it forever and ever now. Just like every month that goes by, I just look at it and feel more guilty for not having read it yet. I feel like I've just been waiting to like be in the right mood for it, because like I said, it's contemporary, but there's magic in it as well. Okay, the next book I'm putting on here, which actually I'm gonna move Aragon over to the side. I have The Diviners here by Libba Bray, and this is another book that is just, honestly, the reason why I haven't read it is because it is so big and it's just been really intimidating. After finishing Kingdom of Ash, I feel like I can do anything now, you know? That book was close to 1,000 pages, and this is, I think, 500-ish pages, so you know, I can do it, I can do it. The book has to do with ghosts and demons and takes place in the 1920s, I think. Another dark, creepy book that I just need to get to. Okay, and the last two books here that I think I can fit on the second shelf, yeah. Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea and Between the Spark and the Burn by, oh gosh, I can't pronounce her name. Instead of absolutely butchering it, I'm just going to do a little like zoom here so you guys can see her name, the author's name. I actually read the first book in this duology like 5 years ago, okay? This is a gothic horror novel and it was so good, and I thought it was a standalone when it came out. I think it was supposed to be a standalone, but it was just so good and everyone's like, we need a second book, so she wrote a second book. It follows our main character who is living in this really small town, and her parents are artists, and she's just like a really cool main character. And this like random guy shows up and ends up renting like the little studio shed or whatever in her backyard. And he's really mysterious. His name is River. So it has to do with our main character falling in love with this sort of like devil kind of guy person with magic abilities. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of have a hard time remembering it because I read it like 5 years ago. But I remember the feeling, okay, and I remember just absolutely just loving it. It wasn't until like 3 years after I read the book that I found out that there was a second book, and now I just want to go back and reread the first book so that I can get to the second book. Okay, so this is my second row over here, looking pretty good, pretty good. We have one more row left to go. This book I pulled off of that black shelf over here, and I reread the synopsis because I had forgotten what it was about, and it sounds so good. And this book follows our main character who is like a musician, and she's living in this fantasy world where there's a goblin king who rules over like a goblin kingdom, and our main character does not live in the goblin kingdom. She's a human, and she, you know, lives with her parents. Her sister gets kidnapped by the goblin king, and she has to go on this whole journey into like the goblin realm or world or something like that and find her. The king's supposed to be like this handsome, like mysterious, dark lord sort of. Anyways, I am a sucker for fantasy books with dark lords. Okay, another fantasy book going on the fantasy TBR. I'm just gonna call it the fantasy TBR shelf because that's what it's kind of becoming. But Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. You guys, this book, I know you want me to read it. I want to read it. We want to read it. I need to start the Mistborn series. Like, this is the most highly recommended. Is it adult? Is it new adult? Or is it considered an adult fantasy? I think it's considered adult fantasy. I have the first 3 books in the series. I bought the box set off of Book Outlet for I think like $15 or something like that. Yeah, 2019 is gonna be the year of Mistborn because I am just, it's gonna happen. The next 2 books I have here are young adult books, but I have The Young Elites by Marie Lu and The Iron King by Julie Kagawa. The Iron King is a fairy young adult book, and this was a book that you guys recommended to me after I read Holly Black's The Darkest Part of the Forest. I was asking for more recommendations like that book, and everyone's like, you need to read The Iron King. And The Young Elites was recommended to me after I read The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken, I think. I was told that this is actually very similar to The Darkest Minds, but even darker, which I didn't think The Darkest Minds was that dark. It's a book about kids with powers, but I read Legend by Marie Lu and I didn't like it, but you know what? I'm all about giving authors a second and third and fourth chance, so I'm hoping that I like this one better. Speaking of Holly Black, I have The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, which I think is her oldest book, right? No, she had a fairy series that came out before that, I think. I guess in this world there are these things called cold towns, which are towns that are specifically for supernatural creatures, which sounds so cool. I think there's vampires in this book. I'm hoping there's vampires, but if there's not, that's okay. The next book I have is actually a middle grade fantasy book. I read this book way back when I was 13 and I absolutely loved it, and I have the other 3 books in the series, but I think there's a total of actually like 6 or 7 books. Fable Haven by Brandon Mull. This is honestly, like, I remember this book so vividly, even though it's been like 7 years since I've read it. Haven follows a brother and a sister who go and stay with their grandparents. Their parents live on this huge expanse of land, half of which is like this giant sort of dark mysterious forest. Basically the kids find out that the parents are sort of keepers of magical creatures that live in that forest. This book was crazy, and I'm so bummed because they changed the cover of this book. I remember there was like a creepy old lady who like used to like chew on these knots. That's actually a character in the book, but I think the character was a little too scary to put on like a middle grade cover. cover. So they put a dragon on it instead, which is pretty cool, but I miss the creepy old lady. Last book going on my little TBR shelf here is the one that everyone has been reading that I haven't hopped on the bandwagon yet, but I own it, okay? So that's one step in the right direction. But The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, this is probably the only like contemporary book I think I have on this shelf. Do I really need to explain this book? I feel like it's been all over BookTube these past few months, and I am just, yeah, I have the audiobook as well. So I just really need to jump into this. But anyway, so those are all the books on my little TBR shelf. I'm gonna take you off of my little tripod here so you guys can see what it looks like. Look, da, 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 da. You guys, it looks so good. I have a little bit of space here at the bottom, so I could go and add maybe like 2 more books. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're gonna have lots of more organization videos coming. I know, we're not gonna look over there. Just stay focused here. Until next time, keep reading, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!